It's now time for our retiring head prefect to make her toast to the school. So definitely please come up to the lectern.
I think the most exciting part about today is the number of times I've been called retiring. I wasn't ready to retire at 16 years old, but it's so exciting. Good afternoon, everyone. Urban Dictionary defines graduation as the day when you realise that you did 12 years of schooling only to be handed a piece of paper. Well, for us, the memories and accomplishments of our class do not fit on a single piece of paper. Because before I get to the actual part of our year and what we've done, I would also like to say thank you to a few of our teachers, because what is a class without its teachers and mentors? To our pastoral care class teachers, Mrs. Schumack, Mrs. Clinch, Mrs. Patterson and Mrs. Moore, thank you for always being there for us, for your cookies and cheese putters. To our other teachers, thank you for everything, for our lessons that went far beyond the scope of any syllabus. Although I'm still never going to forgive Mr. Schumack for the time that he put raisins in Coke and convinced us to quote-unquote sewer lice. Mrs. Caldwell, I'm sorry for tormenting you in year 7 when you read the picture book Hair in Funny Places. I know I'm supposed to have matured by now, but I'm never going to stop finding that book funny. The best exam I've ever done was the one that Mr. Minter gave us. I think it was in year 8, where he gave us the answers to every single question beforehand. And then during the exam, felt bad that we didn't have enough preparation and told us the answers then as well.
They still didn't get it.
To Mrs. Taylor, it's been an honour to work with you this year, but I also feel like I have to apologise for the sheer number of emails I have sent you and the sheer number of texts I've sent to Izzy to remind you about the emails that I sent you. Miss Lay, I know that today is supposed to be exciting because I graduated, but it's only second to the fact that today is the day you let me unclick your necklace after 7 years, so thank you for that. In other thank yous, I'd like to thank the 2 COVID-infected girls that travelled from Melbourne to Brisbane and made this valedictory lunch possible. And to our year group as a whole, there will be a longer, more comprehensive rundown of our memories, but I thought that for the last time, what's a flashback without a mention of my father's hands? No! Everyone in our year knows this story and has heard it multiple times, but for those of you that don't, this is how it went. Mrs. Tia as our English teacher, and we were doing poetry in class at the time. And Mrs. Tia, we were talking about poetry and some good poems we had read, and Mrs. Tia goes, oh, I read a brilliant poem the other day, it was called My Father's Hands. And Liv goes, oh, Mrs. Tia, I read that poem, I absolutely loved it. And then Mrs. Tia goes, no you didn't, Olivia, my daughter wrote it. To that, Liv responds, Mrs. Tia, it was in the Titanic.
You have to be there. Basically, I've been bullied for the past 4 years. Yes, I thought it was a real poem.
Honestly, thank you, Liv, for the best memory of my entire schooling career. All the time that we went on the whole spit, I'm not going to tell the story, but Spangles. Or who can forget when a group of girls in our year wagged class to take May for her experience day and all got detentions? What a wonderful first impression for May. The students in our year group also have such unique passions. I've just now been informed that Annabelle Finnemore once cried because there were vegetables in her shepherd's pie. Or when Hayley Morgan was asked what she wanted to do with her life and she said, I want to work with kids, like in a nursing home. Has proudly declared, I'm not anti-vax, I'm pro-life. In the end, Year 12, a massive thank you for making school just so much fun. I love you all from the bottom of my heart, and while it's going to be very weird not to see you all every single day, I cannot wait to see what you do next. Thank you.
Good afternoon again, Mrs. Taylor, Mrs. Stewart, Mrs. Marquette, Mrs. Caldwell, staff, and of course Year 12. Congratulations, you've made it through valedictory. You only have the HSE to go. You guys are absolutely amazing, just in case you haven't already heard that enough times today. You really have inspired us. With your innovative ideas through the coronavirus, it has led to being the most creative, outstanding and unique graduating class PLC has ever had. Your ability to make every girl in the school feel included is something that we hope to carry on in your legacy.
Tuka.
This year has been a surprising and unprecedented year, but you have kept strong and persistent in all your work. Although you may not have had a right-hand woman by your side, you are still able to put on a brave face when bringing forward new initiatives. The random jokes or bizarre national days you would share with us at your assemblies always brought a smile to my face and a little chuckle once I eventually got the joke. I will forever miss your bright and cheery smile when walking through the corridors and our random chats about the scope or SRC in the study room. Duga, your hard work and persistence and loving kind nature will be dearly missed by all. My dearest Duga, wherever you're heading in life, I hope that you never stop fighting for what you believe in and bringing smiles to people's faces. But I really hope and pray that you do not go into zoology one day, because in fact, in the handover assembly, you did not give Lily a wise owl or me a penguin, but instead Lily a pink, red panda and me a duck.
You girls, as a year group, are hands down the most amazing at participating in a wide variety of sporting endeavours. You are always up for those competitive participation points for your guilds. Whether it's Ruby showing you all up when she dives into the depths of that long 50-metre pool, or watching Charlie speed past you while you're trekking across that brutal athletics track. You always make it to the end and somehow still smile at every single camera. Playing alongside you in netball is definitely going to be something I will miss. Watching Lily Graham's freaky shooting skills, Kaylee's speed up and down the courts, and Izzy's crazily good intercepts that I don't even know how you do it. And Alice, well, Alice, playing with you is just something else. Fiercely competing against Charlie in both netball and back in the days when I witnessed her breathtaking tennis abilities was always such a privilege. Ruby, Lily Rose, Josie, Jane, Claire or Duka, when they almost run you out of breath on that sweaty DKC or on those perfect Lynch's Road netball courts. And Charlotte Little's loud and sometimes intimidating talk, well, that's just everywhere. The rugby field is a whole nother story when you're talking about the Year 12s. I can just imagine how scared you would be coming up against Annabelle Finnemore, Paris Wigley and Lily Coleman when they're sprinting at you full pelt, basically just wanting to smash you to the ground. Or in soccer, when those three, along with Shelby, would be unstoppable. Goals may be scored against them, but that says nothing.
As well as on the sporting fields, you girls have shown your constant involvement in the creative arts. Whether it's been Sarah, Lily Graham, Claire and Caitlyn starring in Matilda and spending many long rehearsal Sundays at PLC, or taking photos and writing alongside the editors of the Scope, you have continued to showcase your amazing talent. Watching Oeuvre a couple nights ago, I was amazed at the individual talent of each girl and all the hard work each one of you has put into your major works. Seeing May express her family's heritage through her unique and intricate piece of art was incredible, and to hear Olivia Hoppy bring out her vocals in a beautiful performance of Love is a Losing Game was amazing. Brenna, your inventive DT project about coral reef bleaching sends a real message across all ages, and cooking alongside you in hospitality has been such an honor, and I will dearly miss working with you. Sarah, you have done such an amazing job at Creative Arts Prefect. From working through a screen majority of the year, and even getting girls involved in online Eisteddfods has not gone unnoticed. You've been able to showcase all the amazing talent of PLC Armidale, and we would personally like to thank you for all your hard work. Helen, you have done such an amazing job at being the first international prefect of PLC, and your abilities to get the Pathways girls involved in events around the school has been incredible. From the stories we've heard from Charlotte, you're a hard-working person who will go on to do great and amazing things. Going on the Thailand learning service trip with you was so much fun. Seeing how excited you were to show us your beautiful country and all the delicious food will be some of my favorite memories.
We are constantly inspired by your leadership as such a cohesive year. You managed to get through the thick and thin despite the obstacles. Caitlyn, Jess, Lily Rose and Duka, thank you so much for a wonderful year in the SRC. You guys have gone above and beyond to allow every initiative to happen and provide support whenever it was needed. Caitlyn, I would like to further this thanks to you for putting so much time and effort into the SRC. You have shown us as the upcoming leaders what it means to get something done and in on time. Guild drama may be one of the most stressful times of the year. When I asked Izzy and Eva how they could describe guild drama, well, I'm not going to say Izzy's first response, but she came around, don't worry. Funnily enough, they both said exactly the same thing: challenging, exciting, and rewarding.
Year 12. It is almost time for you to leave the purple walls of PLC behind. As a year group, you girls have amazed us with your creative initiatives, and although COVID may have prevented you from doing some things in person, you created new ways of connecting the PLC girls with one another. You have left us as the new leaders of the school with some very big shoes to fill. When I first arrived at PLC for my experience day in Year 9, I walked into the drama room and was confronted by a group of Year 10s. Standing there, red-faced and silent, all these eyes staring at me. And then Olivia Hoppy blurted out, "Wow, you're so pretty. Liv." That comment has stayed with me and will forever be one of my most memorable moments in my schooling life. That comment influenced my decision to choose music.
Just pretend I'm Esther. That comment influenced my decision to choose PLC as a school I wanted to be at, and now I can't imagine PLC Armidale without all of you. You have been our best friends and our big sisters. Even if some of you have been there since kindy or been here in the past 2 years, you all have left a mark on PLC and the girls. We hope we can be good as I don't even know what that says.
As Dr. Seuss once said, "You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so go get on your way." I know you will do great things, Year 12. Lots of love.
So Year 12, it's time for us to toast you all in a time-honoured tradition. When your name is called, could you please come to the front of the room? You get a little present, but I'd like you to take your place on the choir risers. Have we all got that? Excellent. PLC Armidale Principal, Mrs. Nicola Taylor, Mrs. Anna Caldwell, invited guests, staff, and most importantly, our Year 12 students. Welcome to your Valedictory Lunch, Year 12. It's a little bit different from what we had envisaged, but thanks to the many and varied obstacles that the year that has been 2020 has offered up to us, here we are. But we are grateful that you are all with us today and we can celebrate this wonderful group of young women, Year 12, 2020. Girls, we celebrate with you and we celebrate you. We celebrate your achievements, your hard work, your persistence, and all aspects of your life here at PLC Armidale. Whether it's been working hard in the classroom, or on the sporting fields, in musical and dramatic performances, leading the guilds, or simply enjoying your life in the Year 12 block. As a group of girls, we will remember you for your good humour, cooperation and sense of fun that you have brought to your studies and other school ventures. The sense of resilience that you have attained here has been developed for many of you over many years at PLC, and then keenly refined during this, your final year of school, in a year that will always be remembered for its ability to throw curveballs. Year 12 2020 will always go hand in hand with global pandemic in our minds. It's a wonderful way to remember you. Your richness comes from your diversity. You are undoubtedly a group of people who are tenacious, kind, hardworking, fun, caring and responsible. You have made an impact on our school community while you have been here, and your legacy will not be soon forgotten. Your drive to fulfil the aims of your project to change the name of our guilds was admirable, and your tenacity was remarkable. It was clear that you were not throwing away your shot, and it gives me great joy to see your success in this endeavour and hope that you are now, in the words of Alexander Hamilton, satisfied. As a year group, you have shown concern for others, a concern which you have not only demonstrated at a school level, but one which you have for the wider world. Your experiences, like your service learning trips to Thailand and Fiji, have left an indelible imprint on you, and your desire to be women who see the big picture and contribute to making this world a better place. Not all of you have had the opportunity to travel afar, but you have used your talents and gifts to have an impact on others in a myriad of different and positive ways. We have appreciated your often dry sense of humour and love of High School Musical, Hamilton and food in general, as well as the random stories that you love to tell and the multiple times you can ask in a week, "Can we please watch Jojo Rabbit?" or even The Crucible? As a year group, however, you are a rather eclectic assortment with a diverse range of interests and quirks. The Year 12 Common Room is alive with all the weird and wonderful things that Year 12 bring to it. You are certainly a diverse bunch, just like my country, young, scrappy, and hungry. Actually, make that always hungry. You have been a group who have genuinely enjoyed sport and fitness, and your talent has shone through in many PLC representative sporting teams, especially in soccer and netball and hockey teams in the IGSA competition. You have been keen participants in the Duke of Ed scheme, with many, many miles trekked, many stumbles and trips, and many laughs shared. Your creative side always shines brightly and shone through with your Guild drama performances last year, your variety of performances over many years, and your key roles as stalwarts in the musical and dramatic productions of PLC Armidale. Our very own Miss Honey, our escapologist and Liesl, and the core of our ensemble for Matilda, Sarah, Claire and Caitlyn, brought us all to tears in The Sound of Music and in Matilda. It simply wouldn't have been possible without you all. Year 12 girls, there are many things that you have learned along the way. Some of this learning has been deep and intellectual, and some of it resonates on quite a different level. To quote your head prefect for 2020, "Mrs. Clinch, I just don't get it. Why?" So now we celebrate you as individuals. Let us journey back to the little-known time of the year 2007, pre-K 2007 to be exact. Shelby Philp.
Shelby started here at PLC way back in pre-K and was lucky enough to have 2 full years of glorious play-based learning down in the cosy pre-K classroom. In kindy, she distinctly remembers a friend, who shall remain nameless, taking scissors from the classroom and playing hairdressers, cutting hair in the bathrooms. I'm sure their teachers and parents were very impressed with their new bangs. She also fondly remembered the K2 sleepover in the junior school with Dukkha, including setting alarms for 3 a.m. to secretly get up to meet in the bathrooms at 3 a.m. to giggle. Shelby's friends say that she's always there for them for a chat or a laugh whenever they need her, and describe her as kind and caring, trustworthy, and always friendly to everyone. Lots of her friends have appreciated her soccer skills over the years and enjoyed playing soccer with her. They know that she is smart and hard-working, organised, and that she has a super sexy ute. Next year, Shelby is taking a wait-and-see approach, but in 5 years hopes to have finished her degree and hopefully be travelling around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Shelby Philp.
Dukkha J. Kumar, 2008 in kindergarten. Dukkha J. Kumar joined Shelby in kindergarten and made a splash from day one. From telling someone in class that she had a boy's name and then getting sent out on day one, to putting a hot, open cup of soup in her backpack to take home with her at the end of the day, resulting in a very embarrassed rugby having to come out of class to help her clean it up. Dukkha certainly made her mark on PLC early on. In Year 6, they had an illegal Year 6 Hasn't Got Talent competition behind the library at lunchtimes, where Dukkha took on the role of the Indian judge, even though she clearly isn't Indian. It sounds like life in the junior school was always exciting. Dukkha's standout memories of school include the AHIGS excursion in 2018 as part of the winning R&E team, eating croissants and ice cream on excursion in Year 5, and the intense UNO games on the COFS excursion. Her friends remember her as being a good person to ask questions of and someone who is always up for a dance to the High School Musical soundtrack or a camp rock duet. Memories of the Ghost of 5 and movie days in Year 11 when they're avoiding doing any schoolwork also feature. Her friends describe her as kind and compassionate and are very proud of the work that she's put into bringing this scope to fruition. Mrs. Patterson remembers her as the girl who rocked backwards on her chair legs throughout the entirety of 6th class and was lucky to avoid a substantial concussion episode. She also remembers her as a girl of insatiable curiosity and abundant affection. When she grows up, Dukkha hopes to be a judge, hopefully working internationally. If that doesn't work out, she thinks that working as an underling in a restaurant for Guy Fieri in the US could be the way forward. She apparently cooks a very mean cinnamon bun. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. J. Kuma.
Sarah met Duka on her experience day in Year 2, and the rest, as they say, is history. Duka apparently talked incessantly and then cemented the friendship by making paper cup string phones. It seems little has changed. Junior school was a fun place to be for little Miss Sarah. Her favourite memories of school are around two things: laughter and music. Sarah has loved ancient history, especially when Charlie says something funny and they all fall about crying with laughter. There's also something very funny about the Barrington Tops excursion, and the Spangle story gets mentioned in a couple of places, playing Dreamweaver as well as the collapsing of a canoe with Alice. Sarah has loved studying music with all the things that go with this. She especially loves performance, and this is an area she has excelled in. Next year, Sarah hopes to be at the University of Sydney, or USYD, for a Bachelor of Arts, or perhaps at the Australian Film, Television and Radio School for film production. In 5 years, she would like to be living somewhere incredible, anywhere but Armidale, in a job that allows her to travel. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Hughes.
Jessica Lee, Year 3. Jessica Lee joined the cohort in Year 3. She had spent the first few years of her schooling at St Pat's in Walker, where she was half the size of everyone else in the class, but thought she was one of the tallest. In junior school, they used to have rock houses in the forest. These rock houses were very elitist, so much so that you needed to have photo ID to gain entry at those times. In Year 4, they went on excursion to Lake Keepit and had 3 students in the top bunk. Duka rolled over and Jess fell out, resulting in a prominent J-shaped scar under her eye. On the Canberra excursion, she was apparently sneaking out to the vending machine in the middle of the night with her roommate and staying up late watching TV, well after lights out. Is this correct, Jess? Definitely true. Her favourite subjects at school have been maths and modern history, and she thinks that the combination of these two subjects can show you how the world really works and our place within it. Her peers describe her as an insanely driven and focused person, and they really admire that about her and can see a very bright future for her. Her friends describe her as stunning and a maths genius with a really nice car. Jess hopes to study medicine next year, and I think we can all agree that would be an excellent career path for her. Mr. Dorian said, "Jess is a student that I literally took from crayons to perfume, as sung by Lulu in the 1960s. The only student that I have taught from Year 5 to Year 12 inclusively. One of only 2 students that has passed me mathematically while still my student. High praise indeed from Mr. Dorian." If medicine doesn't work out, Jess would be happy to be featured as one of the real housewives of New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, Jessica Lee.
Charlotte Caldwell, Year 4. Charlotte bounced into PLC in Year 4 after spending her early days in transition at Tas, dressed up as Harry McClary from Donaldson's Dairy. She loved PLC from day one, and it has been an important part of her life here. She remembers writing recounts of her school holidays, and sport and the outdoors have always featured. Duke of Ed hikes well before she was able to actually start her Bronze Award, tagging along as her parents took many students on hiking adventures. And then finally, her own Duke of Ed Award. Charlotte remembers the Year 9 camp to Barrington Tops and canoeing down the river with Annabelle, as well as marking a pinball machine in Year 7 that scored full marks. Charlotte always enjoyed history with Mr. Sheridan because it was always fun and interesting. He tells good stories. Her friends have all commented on her love of sport and of bad jokes. They describe her as compassionate, humble and funny, with the most gorgeous dog in the world, Jessica. Next year, she hopes to return to her mother's old stomping grounds, undertaking a gap year in England. Or, if COVID-19 is still being pesky, may pursue a degree in sports physiotherapy. Her dream job would be as a physio for a pro sporting team, and we can see that would be a perfect career for her. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Caldwell.
Lily Graham. Graham also spent her early years dressed up for Book Week at Taz, but says she can't really remember much of that at all. She arrived in Year 4, where Mrs. Burke was the Year 4 teacher and the principal was Mrs. Deborah Kelleher. She has too many memories of school to choose just one, but her participation in the PLC musical productions are a standout for her, especially Matilda, where she brought us all to tears singing "Don't Cry" to our little Matildas. Her favourite subject at school has been music, and as she says, it's because we have good chats and it's just generally a fun time. Her friends say that friendship with Lily often centres around food. Sometimes it's her cat eating her noodles, or someone dropping hot coffee all over themselves in a cafe, but with Lily, it's always fun. They describe her as weird, funny, and lovely, and someone who can get on with anyone, which sounds to me like a pretty great recommendation. Next year, Lily hopes to take a year off and work and hopefully travel a little bit. When she grows up, she'd like to be a nurse or a midwife and hopes to be working in a job that she loves. Ladies and gentlemen, Lily Graham.
Alice Berry joined the class in Year 5, and her earliest memories of PLC revolved around pushing the pre-K girls on the swings in the junior school playground. Her favourite class at school has always been PE, and especially loved PE with Mrs. Caldwell, whom she describes as a great teacher. The Barrington Tops excursion was a highlight for Alice, but it was the Thailand service learning trip that stands out for Alice as a very special memory. Her friends appreciate her support and love for them and say that she gives the best hugs. All her friends also seem vaguely obsessed with Alice's perfect eyebrows and her squishy little potato hands. They describe her as both a beast on the netball court and think she will be partying till she is 90. Next year, Alice hopes to either take a year off or go to university in Queensland. She isn't quite sure yet what she wants to be when she grows up, so watch this space. Ladies and gentlemen, Alice Berry.
Caitlyn Hansford. Year 6 saw the arrival of Caitlyn Hansford to round off the junior school years for our cohort. Caitlyn remembers getting birthday cards from her future classmates at PLC before she had even started school, some of them going all the way back to 2008. She had her experience day during activities week, so that was definitely a fun introduction to the school. In Year 6, she created her own world for a project called Caitlyn. I think that given the state of 2020, Caitlyn is looking like a pretty great place to live. Her peers describe her always positive outlook and her ability to put people at their ease. Her friends say that she's an inspiration and a great friend at school, and all comment on her musical talent, as well as her legendary cupcakes. French has been Caitlyn's favourite subject at school, and she thinks it's been so valuable for the many doors that it's opened for her in terms of work, life and travel. Next year, she'll be working in France as an au pair and travelling around Europe when she gets the chance. She hopes to finish a university degree in arts, languages and international relations, and thinks that being a translator or a diplomat would be a good thing to be when she grows up. Ladies and gentlemen, Caitlyn Hansford.
Lily Coleman. This year, 2015, brought an influx of new students to PLC Armidale, swelling the ranks of the group substantially. The first of these was Lily Coleman. The start of school at PLC also meant the start of boarding for Lily, and she vividly remembers creating puppet shows in the boarding house with Olivia in her early days. Her favourite memories of PLC centre around the boarding house, her friends there, and the antics they got up to. The Coffs Harbour Borders weekends have been some of her most memorable excursions. Her favourite subject in high school has been PE, especially the theory lessons in years 7 to 10, which she found fun and interesting. She also likes the straightforward and concrete nature of biology as a subject. Lily's friends describe her as being good at everything, from maths to every sport that she tries her hand at. She's always up for Macca's run to get apple pies and for some strange singing moments. Next year, Lily hopes to go to university, but hasn't quite decided where and what she would like to study. Again, watch this space for some big plans for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, Lily Coleman.
And a Annabelle Finnimore. Annabelle arrived in Year 7 with much admiration for the fancy nature of the school uniform. Her sense of humour has been evident from the start of her boarding career. Her favourite memories include the school camp at Barrington Tops and the Year 10 camp at Coffs Harbour. Subject-wise, she's been drawn to the practical areas of agriculture, business studies and investigating science. These subjects have sparked her interest and appeal to her sense of their relevance to real-life pursuits. Being a boarder, Annabelle has a great fondness for the boarders' bonding weekends at the coast. She valued immensely the chance to get to know the new girls and welcome them to the PLC family. Next year, she hopes to have a gap year, which includes going pearling or being employed out west in an agricultural project. After this, her aspirations include completing a degree and finding a handsome farmer with brains, an ag degree, and the potential for providing a house, a dog, and a family. While her husband works on the property, she hopes to be employed as an early childhood or primary teacher or as a member of an agri-business office. Worthy ambitions indeed, Annabelle. Ladies and gentlemen, the irrepressible Annabelle.
Eva Flannery, also 2015, Year 7. Eva remembers thinking that life at PLC would be all about dress-ups, guild drama, and the science days gave her opportunity to dress up, but she probably would have liked more. She has loved the Duke of Ed hikes throughout her time in senior school and loved studying PDHPE and modern history, though not every Duke of Ed hike was plain sailing. The girls would like to remind you of the one thing with a strange family who offered their son as slave labour to set up her tent. Eva is always happy and cheerful and fun to be around. She's just a little forgetful though. She regularly has to use the toothbrush she keeps at school. She forgets to brush them before she leaves the house in the morning. Her friends say she's kind and forgiving and is always up for a good chat. Next year, she hopes to go on a gap year to England and work at a school. If COVID prevents this, she wants to either work or go straight to uni. She hopes to pursue a career in health or medicine, possibly in lab science, pathology, or even nursing. Ladies and gentlemen, Eva Flannery.
Olivia Hoppy. Olivia Hoppy, who incidentally didn't put her name on any of the Year 12 forms that I've given her in the last few weeks, remembers her start to life at PLC as a period of crying and wanting to go home. But life turned around and she now loves the time that she's spent boarding with friends and just life in the boarding house in general. The annual boarders trip to the coast was always a highlight of boarding house life, as well as the already referred to puppet shows that she put on to entertain the house when in Year 7. Her favourite subjects at school have been modern history and extension English. Both excellent choices, I must say, Olivia. She says that they have great teachers, interesting content, and it always helps that she thinks she's kind of good at them. Olivia's friends remember her waking them up in the mornings with her ukulele, showing that she's definitely not afraid to stand out from the crowd. She's fun to be around and often makes them all laugh, as well as being able to sing like an angel. One of her friends said that Olivia has a gift, an ability to just make someone's day better without even being aware of it.
Oh, that's so nice.
Next year, Olivia plans to take a gap year, save money, build character, and then head to university. In 5 years, she plans to be far, far away from here and happy and healthy. Ladies and gentlemen, Olivia Hoppy.
Hayley Morgan, also 2015, Year 7. Hayley arrived in Year 7 and immediately cemented a friendship with Annabelle, who, she says, had always wanted to be friends with an Aboriginal student. This friendship has persisted with much light-hearted banter being part of their daily interaction. Her favourite subject at school is PDHPE, and one of her fondest memories is of the Year 10 excursion to Coffs Harbour. Her friends recalled the time when Hayley proved quite gullible, as Mr. Shumack and her classmates convinced her that she had no bones in her body. She has reputed to have a penchant for coffee creams, and she has a wildly competitive streak when it comes to racing golf carts. She is also legendary for dancing her way across corn paddocks.
Oh, man.
Next year, this bubbly girl with a contagious laugh is planning to take a year away from study to work. She must think that we are gullible too, as she says that her ultimate goal after that is to become a fairy. Ladies and gentlemen, Hayley Morgan.
Isabelle Taylor. Isabelle started out year 7 with a big reputation, the daughter of the brand new principal. She was told in no uncertain terms during her first week that she would never make friends at PLC because she was the principal's daughter. I'm pleased to report that this was not the case, and her fond memories of that infamous experience day ice cream making cemented her friendship with many of you. Her most memorable trips were the AHICS Festival of Speech trip and the Thailand Service Learning trip. Speech and drama, the Eisteddfods and the Canberra excursion all loom large in her memory as well. Legal studies is her favourite subject as she finds it easy to relate to her everyday life. Her friends say that she's an excellent dancer, even if sometimes her dancing in PE was rather awkward. They say that she's the sweetest girl and a quiet achiever and someone who never ever gives up when netball training gets hard and they feel like they need to vomit. She was an inspirational leader of Forest Guild who made guild drama a fun experience for all. Next year, all things going well, she hopes to spend the year in England as a gap student, learn Spanish, and finally read the entire Harry Potter book series, just for doing a worthy goal, Izzy. Izzy isn't quite sure where she's headed in terms of a career, but hopes to work with either children or at-risk peoples to make their lives easier and more meaningful. Ladies and gentlemen, Isabelle Taylor.
Claire Warwick, also Year 7, 2015. For Claire, the trauma of the kindy tree being cut down to make way for a toilet block has never really left her. Claire's earliest memories of PLC are eating croissants and ice cream on her experience day. Who wouldn't want to be at a school with croissants and ice cream? Claire has been playing music her entire life, and it has been a central part of her school life, as well as from the time she was in primary school, right through to her HSC performances now. It has been her favourite subject, and she plays both the cello and trumpet and is a talented vocalist as well. Claire remembers the Canberra excursion, as well as the HSC music days at Nikon as her standout excursions. Claire's friends describe her as determined and passionate about her interests. She's also apparently pretty good at her Hungry Jack's job. She makes a mean TikTok as well. Girls think this could be a definite future career move. Next year, depending on COVID, Claire would like to spend the year travelling, especially using her German language skills. She isn't quite sure what she'll be doing in 5 years' time, but is sure it will be something fun. Ladies and gentlemen, Claire Warwick.
And in Year 8, Jane Spencer. Jane arrived at PLC in the middle of Year 8 and was launched straight into an etiquette class on day 1. After spending the day learning about the correct use of cutlery, she had her initial impressions confirmed. PLC girls were indeed rather posh, and the world here was rather different from across the road. She remembers the Barrington Tops excursion and people floating down the river and laughing so hard that it hurt. She loves PE, but especially loves Mrs. Caldwell. The trip to New Zealand was also a memorable experience for her. Janet, as her friends call her, is a sweet and kind friend who often makes them laugh. Their favourite memories are of playing soccer together, with Janet screaming and making bird noises. When she has finished school, Jane hopes to get out of Armidale ASAP and take up the study of nursing. In 5 years, she would like to have a hot boyfriend and a nice house. And when she grows up, she would like to be a nurse or a midwife. Ladies and gentlemen, Jane Spencer.
Josie Flint also arrived in Year 8 and had her first real experience of PLC at the Welcome Barbecue. Dooka was wearing Ruggaby's name tag and Izzy was wearing Dooka's. She couldn't pronounce any of their names and they thought it was hilarious. Kayaking at Barrington was a bit of a disaster for Josie and Paris, but good fun all the same. Josie is also one of those infamous few who in Year 11 thought the fire drill was a lockdown and hid under our desks instead of going to the Oval. Mr. Estridge's advice in his letter is good advice. Josie is a bit of a night owl and her friends love that they can text her at 11 p.m. and still be assured of a reply. They also love PDHPE with Josie and that she can help them to answer every question. Josie is good fun and someone whom her friends know they can rely on. Her favourite subjects have been English, PDHPE and Bio. She thinks that despite the fact that they're all very different, she thinks they're all really interesting. Next year, Josie hopes to be moving out of Arndale and heading to uni. In 5 years, she would like to have a degree and perhaps be living overseas with lots of friends and family. And when she grows up, she has no idea, but she wants to be happy and healthy and fulfilled. Josie Flint.
Paris Wibley. Paris arrived with her whip in tow in 2016 and has certainly made her mark on the school. As Mr. Dorian loves to joke, time to crack the whip has a whole other meaning with Paris. Paris started school in Palamalawa and remembers crying in kindy because she wasn't allowed to take her dogs to school with her. I understand. I'm sure many of you remember the Coffs excursion and the lovely gesture that Paris made of making breakfast for her cabin on Shelby's birthday, consequently setting off an early morning fire alarm and an evacuation. Her favourite subject at school was Pass with Mr. D, and she's loved any chance at school to either work with the cattle team or to tell stories about her sausage dogs. Her friends love the random and often, sometimes bogan things that Paris talks about, and thinks that she is a true cattle team champion. In the boarding house, Paris is always someone who can be relied upon to share her washing powder when you have run out, as well as always being up for a good chat. Next year, Paris hopes to either go to uni or head up north and work on a station. When she finishes uni, she would like to be working in agriculture somewhere, but wherever she ends up, she hopes that she will be happy. Ladies and gentlemen, Paris Wibley.
Charlotte Little. Charlotte Little arrived in term 3 of year 9, slotting into the year 9 class very well. She blended in so seamlessly apparently, but Lily Coleman didn't know that she was supposed to be Charlotte's buddy. Just followed everyone around for the first 3 days, hoping someone would notice her. There may not have been much talking in the first few days for Charlotte, but she certainly made up for it since. She has loved boarding and being part of the boarding house and truly sees it as her school home. One of her favourite subjects has been legal studies because it's something that she's extremely interested in and hopes to pursue in her future career. And maths, because the support and relationships developed there are ones she will never forget. Her friends love her sense of humour and think she excels at banter and is a bit of a bullhead. She is a funny, kind and caring person, and they would like her to always strut her stuff like you were straight off the runway. Next year, Charlotte hopes to be studying double law degree, hopefully at Newcastle or UNE. Charlotte was interviewed when she was in kindy and asked what she wanted to be when she grew up. She promptly replied, "A Pegasus." I think being a horse with wings is an excellent goal, Charlotte. One to keep striving for. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlotte Little.
Beam joined the Pathways course in term 3 of 2017. She immediately endeared herself to staff and students alike with her warm, friendly personality and her willingness to join in on all activities on offer, especially sport. She has been greatly admired for her genuine efforts to improve her English communication skills, and everybody was thrilled when she decided to join the mainstream students at PLC to complete her HSC. Some of Beam's favourite memories are of the swimming carnivals and also the Year 10 excursion to Canberra. One of her favourite subjects has been investigating science because it's so relevant to real life. Beam confesses to occasionally watching movies instead of doing her homework. But most of her friends admire her strong mathematical skills and the hard work she puts into improving her mastery of English. She's renowned for her kindness to other students and her lovely sense of humour. It is rumoured that she also has some excellent skills in the art of smuggling turkey legs into Australia. Beam is very valued by her peers, and especially Miss Lay for her generosity in teaching the service learning excursion students how to communicate in basic Thai language in preparation for their visit to the orphanage at Chiang Mai. It was fun for Beam to be in the language teaching role instead of the language learning role for a change. Next year she intends to enrol in an aviation course at university with a view to graduating as a pilot in a few years' time. Ladies and gentlemen, Beam Nyan.
Helen Jarman. settled into PLC very soundly via Pathways in 2017 and then transferred to mainstream learning to study for her HSC. Helen's first impressions of the school was a sea of bottle green uniforms. She made a strong effort to interact with the Australian students, and her friendships ensured that her English competence improved at a rapid rate. She particularly recalls enjoying her excursions to the coast at Coffs Harbour. Her friends are full of admiration for Helen's disciplined study regime, while still being sweet, kind and thoughtful to the other students in the boarding house. Admiration is also expressed by those who have observed her outstanding progress in French, English and chemistry, her favourite subject. Next year, she hopes to enrol in a course at Sydney University with the ultimate aim of becoming a teacher. Yay, Helen. In between her studies, she hopes to be able to travel and explore the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the diligent Helen Jarre.
Brenna Hollis. Brenna arrived in Year 9, being thrust straight away into exciting projects such as building houses in science with Duka and Izzy. Her favourite school memory was the Year 11 camp at Coffs Harbour, but she also thinks fondly of her experiences at Barrington Tops Camp in Year 9. Brenna's friends value her sense of fun and generosity, especially when she shares her hospitality skills. She's noted for her caring, supportive nature. Studying zoology is her aim for 2021, with a view to working overseas as an animal conservationist with primates in the future. She plans to try this path, but philosophically is prepared to adapt to whatever the future brings. She's looking forward to learning through experience and finding out just where her passions will take her. Ladies and gentlemen, Brenna Hollis.
Mei Yi. Mei Yi arrived to join Year 10 at PLC in 2018. And she started in fine style, joining us on the Canberra excursion as her first taste of life at PLC Armidale. She quickly settled into school and demonstrated her artistic talents. When May was in primary school, she remembers being told she looked like another student's twin sister, even though they looked nothing alike, and riding on the top deck of a ferry to school. May's favourite subject at school over the past few years has been history, as she thinks it helps us to better understand the world we live in. I couldn't agree more, May. Standout events for May have been the Canberra excursion and the Fleece to Fashion Awards that were hosted here at PLC. May also enjoys German and sees the study of languages as an important part of her life. May's friends say that she is considerate of others and confident in herself, with a warm smile. They also appreciate just how good she is at German. Next year, she will spend the year doing some volunteer work with organisations like the RFS and Meals on Wheels, and hopes to also work and save some money. In 5 years' time, she hopes to be studying in Germany and enjoying life. Ladies and gentlemen, Mei Yi.
And in Year 10, Ruby Ticehurst. Ruby descended upon the boarding house community of PLC in Year 10. Outstanding in her memories are seeing Liv and Hayley dancing during her preparatory tour of the boarding house, and a subsequent daring moment when she cut her best friend's hair during prep. Among her favourite memories are the boarding excursion to Coffs Harbour and the many experiences that she has shared with Lily Coleman in the boarding house. Business studies has been one of her most useful subjects, as it has direct application to possible career directions for the future. Less popular on her list is modern history, which she actually expressed during online learning when her microphone was not muted. Fortunately, her teacher, Mrs. Clinch, is resilient and not actually devastated by Ruby's revelations. Ruby is known among her friends as unfailingly kind and caring and funny. Next year, she intends to find a job, enjoy the freedom, and consider her future possibilities for embarking upon a course of study. She is as yet uncertain of career direction, but hopes to be happy, have a house, a dog, and some money before the PLC 5-year reunion. Ladies and gentlemen, Ruby Ticehurst.
Lily Rose Mackenzie. Last but certainly not least, Lily Rose Mackenzie joined the class in Year 11, 2019 as a board. She remembers walking into the Year 11 study room late on her first day and having everyone run up to introduce themselves in between their classes, which was a great first impression. She has enjoyed her second home in the boarding house and just mucking around in the boarding house with everyone, as well as the annual cough strips for the boarders. Lily Rose took up maths standard at the beginning of this year and said that her ability to work independently on this study has led it to become one of her favourite subjects. Next year, Lily Rose hopes to be studying a Bachelor of Commerce at the Australian National University in Canberra. Once this is completed, she's planning on undertaking the study of her Juris Doctor at the University of Melbourne, with a view to becoming an international criminal and human rights lawyer. Not an international criminal. Ladies and gentlemen, our final student, Lily Rose Mckenzie.
So now Year 12, it's time to start our long farewell. This is not a moment, it's a movement. A moving forward, not truly an ending. Remember Year 12, history has its eyes on you. But equally, if you hang around Year 12 for long enough, especially in 2020, you will know that one does not simply say goodbye without a meme. Year 12, you are ready. The end of this school journey is in sight, and I have every confidence that you will achieve great things. To quote Nora Ephron, in case any of you are wondering, of course you can have it all. What are you going to do? Everything is my guess. It will be a little messy, but embrace the mess. It will be complicated, but rejoice in the complications. It will not be anything like what you think it will be like, but surprises are good for you. And don't be frightened, you can always change your mind. And once again, as Alexander Hamilton tells us, there's a million things I haven't done. Just you wait. And Year 12 2020, we can't wait to see what happens next. Staff and Year 11, we present to you PLC Armidale's Year 12 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, Year 12 2020. 12 are moving out of the Year 12 block, and Year 11, you'll eventually get your chance to move in. And as is tradition at this time, we have a present from Year 12 to our incoming Year 11. So if Lily and Esther, if you could please come to the front.
To Year 11, we have some cleaning supplies and some very essential Milo for your very busy study breaks, and some snacks and some tea to calm down if you're stressed. And it's very important to keep Year 12 block clean, and the best way to do that is making a roster early on and making sure everyone knows when their day is. So good luck keeping it clean.
As is tradition, we are going to have our first person to arrive at PLC and the last to join the cohort come together to cut this cake. So if Shelby and Lily Rose could please come forward. You'll also see inside your bags your beautiful photo books, and now's a great time. There's some pages at the back with some signatures. Now's a great time to get that happening as well. Mrs. Kumar, come with me and help me do it.